Today, we're doing a reset. Now, I love January, as cliche as it might be, the new year, new you, and all of the goals and all of the pressure. I know it can be a lot and cliche and overwhelming, but I do love it as a natural point in the year to actually step into the version of you want to be most. And for a lot of nonprofit leaders and fundraisers, we need a reset, right? Y'all are ready for a reset. So, if that's you, if you ended last year and already feel even already this year, that overwhelm setting in, that even maybe some burnout already setting in, we're going to get you back on course, feeling better and more organized. Because I'm noticing a pattern. I'm noticing that many nonprofits aren't struggling because you lack discipline. You're struggling because you're running a high impact revenue engine that's on outdated expectations, inherited systems, and the false belief that more effort equals more revenue. It's like we've inherited this out of date operating system. So let's start by just acknowledging that overwhelm is often a symptom of avoidance. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, it might be because you're avoiding making a change. You're avoiding the big thing that feels too hard to shift into. It also may be that you're avoiding something because you're unclear of what to do instead. That avoidance is because you're unclear of your priorities. And those unclear priorities keep leaders in the freeze response, right? So you feel the stress, you feel the burnout, you feel the negative feelings, and yet you kind of can't get out of it. And you're just stuck frozen because you're not sure what to do instead. Or the alternative, what to do instead, just feels like too much and too overwhelming. So you'd rather just stick with what you're doing. So this is a predictable pattern that I see. And we're going to get you out of this pattern because it is reversible with a reset. So let's start by acknowledging why. What is the why behind this overwhelm? It's not personal. It's not you. It's systemic. Leaders are very often overextended because nonprofit roles expand in the name of helping, right? That's kind of the essence of this mission driven sector. We're natural helpers and doers. We want to help out. Leaders are under supported because boards still treat fundraising like a seasonal activity, like something they can tell you what they think is a good idea, but then don't actually have any ownership or help in the matter, right? It's very, you should do this energy. Let's also talk about the why behind overwhelm because there's no internal playbook, right? It's everything just feels experimental or it feels very rinse and repeat. It's like the old playbook. So the default mode then becomes do everything and just hope something works, but at least stay in motion. I picture a treadmill. Picture a treadmill. You're literally walking. What do? You increase the incline, you increase the speed. You're sweating more, you're sore, you're on it for longer each day, and you haven't left the house, right? That's that more is more stress cycle, that more is more plateau that we see, but you haven't actually left versus what do we need to do? What do we need to stop doing? And how do we get you out of the treadmill and into where you're walking, you're running, you're jogging, and you actually have a destination or destinations in mind? So while this overwhelm in the nonprofit sector is systemic, it feels and is very personal because how many times have I said, how many times have you lamented that, well, my role is X, but I wear a lot of hats. I see most executive directors also wear the hat of fundraiser and director of operations. I see most directors of development wear the hat of major gifts officer and communications lead. I see most marketing directors also oversee communications and sometimes development. You with me? And so it becomes this shrug of like, well, technically my role is this, but let's be honest, I do the job of at least 3 people. And the thing is that most organizations who have a staff of under 10 employees are cross-trained and should be cross-trained. And that's not a bad thing because cross-training is a necessity there, right? So if your director of development is out, somebody else can hop in. And also because your director of development shouldn't be the only person fundraising, your executive director should have a hand in it. Your marketing and comms person should have complete hand in it as well. And so there is that natural cross training happening. The leader is doing development, communications, program. We didn't even get to programs, program oversight, operations, donor relations, sometimes even grant management. And that structure makes burnout really predictable and understandable, right? And it's one of the biggest mindset shifts for 2026 is recognizing that I can do it is not a strategy. It's a trap. Okay. So let me say that again. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. I just had this drop in as I'm saying that. So I have two young-ish kids, and they're at the age where like some household chores, some responsibilities are key here, right? Now, if I am capable of doing their laundry and cleaning up after them and making their lunches and making their beds each day. Those are all things that I am capable of doing. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it, right? So, one of the things that we've been working on with both children is here's how to do laundry. Here's what it looks like to put your clothes away. Here's who wants to unload the dishwasher, who wants to load the dishwasher, right? Because if I end up being the martyr of the house or the only person who is responsible for doing that of the house for whatever shape or reason, right? Maybe I think, well, I do it better, right? Or I do it faster. I actually think that I load the dishes faster than my children do. I think they're kind of messy. And there are times where I'm like, no, they're going to learn this skill. This is part of their own like resource and skill development and development of grit because they don't want to do it, right? And that is the same for you. There are so many tasks that I see leaders doing, I see fundraisers doing that they shouldn't be doing anymore. That should be offloaded to a different staffer, a different contractor, a different volunteer, or a different board member. There are other people who should be doing this. So that is not a strategy, it's a trap. We're going to go more tactical for this episode. So this reset, this overwhelm reset requires more than just motivation, it requires actual tactics. So I want to give you some really specific instances where I think you should look. I think you should poke around. This isn't about working harder or finding more time. I don't want you to stand on the treadmill for a longer period of time. I'm wondering if you need to be on the treadmill altogether. You with me? Maybe you need to like go take a 30-minute yoga class instead and screw the treadmill. I don't know. So here's an example. If you never log onto your CRM, you might need a new CRM. If your CRM isn't helping you fundraise, it might be time to find a CRM that is helping you fundraise. That is its job. It is for your customer, client, donor management. It is your hub. And we used to live in a time where your CRM was not so helpful, was very clunky, was something that you didn't want to log into, was something that felt like that's what a good nonprofit has. They have a CRM and you kind of did nothing with it. Right now, there are CRMs like Bloomerang, which is one of my favorite go-to partner CRMs. There are CRMs that will actually help you see the funding, see the capacity that you have yet to tap into in your donors that will help you go, what do I do this week? What do I need to do this week? What is a high priority task? Your CRM should help you with that. Your CRM could be a dashboard that's like, here are your highest priority. Sometimes we're coaching in the Purpose and Profit Club, my group coaching program. And if I am trying to troubleshoot a scenario, which I was today at the time of recording this, I was helping a client who was running a campaign and we were working through a specific scenario of like, okay, goal is X, we're at Y, let's shore up kind of the in between. And they needed to pull some segments. And I had two very specific donor segments for them to pull. You cannot do that if you hate your CRM or if you don't know how to pull reporting in a CRM. I have a client who is on a very dinosaur, outdated CRM. And there's one person in the organization who really knows how to use it, and that's it. And when we're trying to troubleshoot, we can't be nimble in something that is an old operating system, in something that is clunky, and something that is hard to pull reporting on, and something that is hard to use. So if that's you, do not tell yourself, well, we don't want to we don't want to change. It's too hard to change. It's too hard to migrate. I don't know where to begin. What else have I heard? It's too expensive. Y'all are paying for CRMs anyway. If you already have one, you're paying for it. You should pay for something you use. There are so many other ones out there that are so much better. They will make your life easier. There is the ease of understanding who has the capacity, where are my warmest leads, who is ready for an upgrade, who's ready for a touch point, a donor meeting. Your CRM can help you do that. So there's that aspect of it, right? And there's the resistance I hear sometimes of, I don't want to have to learn a new tech, new tool. And that is why I'm having this episode in Q1. That is why I did not have this episode in Q4. Now is your planning mode. This is Q1 should be, you're allowed to fundraise, by the way, but that's a conversation for another day. But Q1 should be absolutely the time where you are making changes. If you need to migrate donation tools, CRMs, if you don't have an annual fundraising plan, make it at least a 6-month one. Now is the time to make those changes. Okay. So now is the time to book a couple demo calls if you have a few. CRMs or donation tools or any sort of tech. If you're interested in any sort of new tech tool, now is the time to book those sales demos, have those conversations. I think about it like I'm, shopping for a pair of jeans. I probably want to go to more than one store if I'm trying out a new brand. So you can reach out to me, go look, go run some demos, see what's most resonant with you. A CRM is the cost of doing business. And one of the issues that I see is organizations who are like, I don't have the money for a CRM, and they are stuck raising the same amount again and again and again because they're not using a tool, right? They're just kind of like jogging in place. You're not using a tool, right? So we want to use a tool to help you raise more. That may be a CRM. That may be a donation tool. That may be a new email service provider. There are lots of things. I'm using CRM as a placeholder here. There are lots of tools that you may be time for. There may be time to take another look at. It may be time for an upgrade. If you have questions about that, I do have a preferred tools page on my website at splendidatl.com/tools, or you can always just send me a message. I feel like I've tried them all, and there are some dinosaurs out there. There are some really slick, innovative companies. There's some really easy to use ones. So there's lots of options for you. Okay. In this overwhelm reset, let's talk about your revenue channels. How are you bringing in donation revenue? How are you bringing in funding? Maybe you even have some earned revenue. Maybe you have memberships, etc. But I want you to look at how are you bringing in funding? Now, I'm going to name a bunch just to start your mind going. Individuals, foundations, grants, memberships, monthly donors, merchandise. There's 6 right there, right? Maybe you do peer-to-peer fundraisers, right? All of the different ways that you bring in funding and Facebook fundraisers, right? There's all of these different ways that your organization can bring in donations. And I think sometimes organizations get stuck in the amount of ways versus refining and becoming excellent at 3 or 4 ways. 1 or 2 ways. And your most priority way to bring in funding should be through individual unrestricted donors, through individuals, not grants, not foundations. I didn't even go into events, not event ticket sales, not raffles, not comedy nights, not auctions, individual unrestricted funding. That should be your first foundational way. If you have not mastered how to do that, you need to join the Sprint method. That is what we teach you inside the Sprint method. Everything from building your pool of donors to running online Sprint campaigns, digital fundraisers from your laptop. We teach you that process. Okay. So no event required. That is foundational. I want you to think about that as your 101. If you have not established that, that's 101. That means before you go chase foundation relationships, before you go chase an auction night, a raffle, a 5K, a grant application, nope, we're going to figure out unrestricted funding. The reason why is all of the ones that I just mentioned are time expensive and labor expensive, people expensive, right? They have upfront people costs, they have upfront time costs. They are often very much not guaranteed you'll even be awarded the grant. Low profit, high effort. Now, if you have started to raise and continue to raise 100, 200K in individual unrestricted funding, and maybe you're even at $500,000 and so on, and you've plateaued and you have in your pipeline of fundraising revenue, you've got unrestricted funding, you've got maybe a couple of grants you do each year, maybe you are developing, maybe you have a signature event, and those are kind of the 3 ones, right? Maybe you want to develop a monthly giving program. You only have 10 people in one right now. Maybe you're interested in foundation relationships. Maybe you're interested, you have some ideas on a spring event. Maybe you're like some of our clients and you're ready to really ramp up your direct mail program. So there's other ways you can then layer on. That's when you should join the Purpose and Profit Club, because that's when we actually layer on more advanced strategies. We can layer on a social street team. We're actually borrowing other people's audiences online to advocate, bring awareness for your organization. We can layer on stronger and higher converting email fundraising. We can layer on higher converting direct mail programs, right? There's a lot of different levers we can pull where we actually go deeper on what's working versus just erroneously trying to like chase another grant or chase another event, right? Sometimes that does mean we sunset something. So I want you to take some time after today's episode and really write down, and you can look inside your CRM and you can look and see where was the revenue source and like bucket them out. And I want you to look at the lowest to the highest. What generated the most, what generated the least, and bucket them out, right, by type. And one of the things that's really interesting is sometimes we'll see what I thought was a pretty strong revenue driver is actually just strong in time. It's on top of mind because it takes a lot of time, but not because it actually generates a lot of revenue. That's when you know, ooh, that goes in the overwhelm column, and we don't need to continue that this year. Speaking of what to continue, what not to continue, let's move into what I'm calling the 3-part revenue engine. And we're going to go into this more this year, but I foundationally felt like this would be helpful as a reset of if you're like, I don't even know where to begin. I'm so tired from year end. I just want to break. Like foundationally, where do I go? Whether you're at the $3 million mark or the brand new nonprofit mark, I want to share with you these 3 areas that are essential signature to running a profitable nonprofit. Okay, number 1, lead generation. So most leaders think they have a retention problem, and that is one area we can address, but I want to highlight pipeline. You need to be putting donors and donor prospects leads into your pipeline every single day, every single year, every single month, right? Lead gen is when you're bringing in new people to your pipeline. So if you had a tough year last year, a tough year end where you were like, I squeezed all the juice I could squeeze and we really didn't hit our goal, we have a couple places we could look. 1, is it a conversion problem? Did you need work on your actual offer, the messaging that you had, the fundraising content, the story, the appeals, the donation page? Now, if that was locked up, that looked good, that was gold, and you still didn't hit your goal, you have a lead gen problem. Okay. We needed more donors and leads in your pipeline. Okay. We teach you how to do this in both programs. But what that looks like is bringing in new subscribers, new audience, new followers, new people in your pipeline every single month. Okay. Then we can do this with a social street team, that we can do this with using our lead builder strategy, but that visibility helps to build those relationships so that when you run your next campaign, there are more people in your pipeline to run it to. Okay, the second piece, the ask process. This is not emailing when you have time. This is not just fundraising at end of the year. This is a repeatable rhythm. Great fundraisers ask early, ask often, and ask with authenticity. Okay, there's no burnout when that rhythm supports you. When you know what your next 6 months looks like, when you know what your first Q1 fundraiser is. If you don't know that, you need support. It's not that you're bad for not knowing. You just need support. You need a program like mine, or you need another place to go to come up with, I would recommend at least your first 6 months. I like to have a rough outline of your annual plan and then really drill into the next 3 to 6 months. Now, as you scale, as you get more seasoned, you're going to have different campaigns to different segments of your audience. The campaign you run to individual donors is going to be different than the campaign you run to major donors or to upgrade donors or to do a campaign for just monthly recurring givers, right? But what I want to offer is these are shorter sprint campaigns, a couple days long, a week long, sometimes 2 weeks long, with clear deadlines and clear reasons to give. That is very different than the type of fundraising that I see most organizations doing. Step 3 is retention. Retention is not a tax thank you letter. Retention is not a tax receipt or a one-time automated thank you letter. Retention is building a repeatable donor experience that pulls people closer. Okay, having those first 90 days really roll out the red carpet for your new donors with meaningful but quick and scalable outreach, high impact stewardship moments, follow up experiences that help donors actually feel seen and connected to your organization. Now, when these 3 things run together, when you have the process of lead generation constantly, the ask process, and retention, what happens next? You actually have consistency and scalability, and your year changes. This is what I have built my entire business on, is creating all three for you. Now, here's what this doesn't mean. This doesn't mean doing all the things. Did you hear me? I said you might have to sunset things. You may not need to scale back an event that is a time suck, or a tactic that is a time suck. This isn't doing all the channels. We had a conversation today in the Purpose and Profit Club about social media, right? And my client said, how much time should I be spending on social media? And what I said to her was, how many followers do you have? And I will say, for the sake of this conversation, she said 1,000. I said, okay, well then the question is, how much time should you spend for between 10 and 100 people to see a video, to see a carousel, to see a social post? Not very much time. That is not a good use of your time, because between 1 and 10% of your audience sees your social content. Okay. So we flip the script. We borrow other people's social audiences with the social street team method. Now that I can get behind all day. So that doesn't mean spending a bunch of time on social media, overly designed newsletters, relying solely on a PayPal button. At the top of this, I talked about maybe you need a donation tool. If you're listening to this and you have one single way to donate to your organization and it is a PayPal button, you need a donation tool yesterday. Today is the time. Like, do not wait another minute. Using just a single PayPal button or a single process like write me a check is part of the reason why you're finding it so hard to fundraise. There are so many different donation tools out there. Some I love, some I do not love. Reach out to me and I will share some of my favorites with you. This also doesn't mean planning the gala scale event with micro staff. If you have a handful of staff or mainly volunteers, stop planning the big gala that takes 6 months to plan. Pour your heart into laptop fundraising instead. You will feel better, you will make more, and you will impact more. Saying yes to every board idea, it might be time to sunset that, right? We can say, you know what, Joe, that's a really interesting idea. Thank you for that. We're going to add that to the future project idea list. Just because they have a good idea doesn't mean you have to start and run with their good idea. Their quotes sound good. Building programs before you build a pipeline. If you do not have funding to build or expand a program, you need to fundraise first. So here's what you may want to sunset immediately. Legacy events that you've really you're tired of, your audience is tired of, you've seen engagement, ticket sales, whatever it is, steadily dip year over year. It's okay to sunset an event. Volunteer-driven pet projects, overbuilt communications that don't actually turn into profit. Side initiatives don't create revenue. Any system, platform, workflow that creates friction. If your staff is using 10 different tech tools to store photos and videos, stop it, right? Streamline. And if you're doing that because maybe you're stuck in a loop of people pleasing, well, Joe likes Dropbox and Susan likes Google Drive and Cheryl likes this and Marco likes that, stop it. Let the executive director make the decision and we go. And we go. So any system, campaign that takes more effort than revenue, it's time to sunset those. Sunsetting isn't just about programs, it's about your personal workload. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. Here's what I mean. Just because you know how to order ink for your printer doesn't mean that the admin person can't take that on, or that the CEO can't just do that themselves. Just because you can draft your email doesn't mean the ED should be drafting the Tuesday newsletter, right? So just because it sort of got plunked on your lap doesn't mean you can't say, you know what, let's round robin this. Let's have the ED do one Tuesday and then I'll do the next Tuesday or something like that. Just because you've always done something one way doesn't mean you always have to continue to do it. And I really want to offer one of my favorite hires for organizations, really at any level, but especially under 500K, is an admin person, a VA. So it could be a virtual assistant or it could be an admin in office. I find a lot of my clients are virtual, so a VA works beautifully. This could be a contract or part-timer who can help you kind of scoop up a lot of what I just mentioned. You saving time, not shopping for the right printer toner so that you can go book a major donor meeting is a well invested spend all day, every day. And it also, there's that invisible tax of you carrying in your brain, we need printer ink, and we also got to resize that Canva graphic and our cover photo on our letter, and who's going to test, oh, the CRM needs to be integrated with the new donate. We can hire a VA for that, all of that. Can we spend a couple $100 so you don't have to carry that invisible load of to-dos and you can go fundraise? Absolutely. That is how you think more strategic, more like a leader. So we'll close out with what I'm calling the 30-day reset. Okay. So week 1, or you could even do this by days if you wanted to, and we'll include this in the show notes as well. Week 1, simplify your system. Your goal here is to reduce friction. If you're not using a tool you're paying for, or if it's a free tool you're not using, decide, am I not using it because this is clunky, bad dinosaur tech, or am I not using it because I need to learn how to use it, which is a different ballgame. What did I learn how to use last year? And I was like really avoidant to using it. And then I was glad I learned how to use it. Wait, it's going to come to me. It's not going to come to me. So decide if it's one of those where, do I need to learn how to use it or don't I? Okay, that's the first thing. Make one decision about your CRM, your donation tool, whatever it is you do want to change. Go ahead, book some demos and give yourself a deadline. I'm going to have the demos on these 3 days, and I'm going to give myself the deadline to make the decision by X day. Do not drag out the decision. Identify those top 3 to 5 revenue channels, put the rest, the other ideas, the other channels on just future projects. We have clients who have done merchandise fundraisers that have brought in, $500 here, $1,000 there, but have taken a ton of time to put on. Don't do that. That's a great future projects list. Then we have other clients where those have raised $15,000. They're going to keep theirs on. You with me? So there's some nuance there. Create a simple donor segmentation snapshot. I want to be able to see major donors, lapsed donors, mid-level donors, individual donors, recurring donors. I want to know which segment of your donors always give on Giving Tuesdays, which segment only gives in the spring. We need to be able to pull those segments so I can help you fundraise faster and fundraise more. So you're deciding on what to sunset. Week 2, rebuild your pipeline. Take a really honest look at your pipeline. How many new subscribers, followers, and donors are you getting in each month? If it's like a handful, then that's a 911 moment. Okay. That's a pipeline needing. We do not want it to be a trickle. I want you to have a steady stream of new subscribers, donors, and followers coming in each month. The difference between a follower and a subscriber versus a donor is somebody could opt onto your email list or your Instagram page without actually becoming a donor. That's great. We still want that. We want just new people in your ecosystem to start to nurture. Okay. Week 3 is about strengthening retention. Now is a great time. If you have an automated email welcome series, I want to offer, put yourself through it. Look at it again. Because usually if you wrote it more than a year ago, it may need some tweaks. Your voice may have changed. Maybe you have an impact statement you want to update, or just take another look at it. If you don't have an email welcome series for new donors, now is the time to do that. You can always reach out to me. We have that inside our course, Easy Emails for Impact. We have a 5-part email welcome series. You build it one time. We have templates for it, and it automates in the background. It is beautiful. It's like one of the best ways to just replicate you, scale you, working in the background, helping roll out that red carpet. So week 3 is all about retention. Look at your thank you letter. If you've been using the same thank you letter for years and years and years, update that baby. Update that bad boy. Okay. Send personal messages to your donors. It's a great time. Q1 is a great time. What if you had the goal of just 5 handwritten notes a week? Do all levels, mid, major, recurring, just a handful of donors. That would be really nice. Increasing your retention gives you breathing room, right? So it's like the more donors you can retain each year helps from your pipeline becoming a constant leaky bucket of one and done donors. Now, week 4 is about your 90-day plan. What do you want to do next, right? Your goal here is to reduce indecision. I want you to come up with, what is my next fundraiser? What is my next fundraiser? Do not wait until Q2 to run your first fundraiser. So decide who you'll ask, what your fundraiser is about, what you'll stop doing, what you'll start doing, where support you'll need. Do you need to learn foundationally the skill of fundraising? You need to join the sprint method. Do you want to layer in email fundraising, which everyone should? We have hundreds of organizations inside of Easy Emails for Impact. It is such a powerful self-study course. This course is good if you're a brand new nonprofit. This course is absolutely game-changing if you're a large multi-million-dollar organization. Do we want to layer on or improve our email fundraising? Or are we ready to really do more intermediate and advanced level strategies, layering in a street team, including, higher converting online and direct mail fundraisers? Then you need to join the Purpose and Profit Club. That decisiveness will help end that burnout. That decisiveness and having support and guidance will help end overwhelm. Having a plan in place helps end overwhelm. If you really look at what's underneath overwhelm, it's like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to do next. I'm so overwhelmed, I can't move, right? But when you have a plan in place and you're like, no, I know we're running that campaign in March 1st. I know that I need to, again, demo 2 donation tools. I'm going to make a decision, talk to my board about a board match, and build out my campaign page. I'm going to go to Christina. I'm going to get feedback on that campaign page in the club, and I'm good to go. My overwhelm diffuses, right? Now, I may still have tons and tons of ideas. If you have a brain like mine, it's like, but I should do this and I should do that. Future projects list. All of that goes on future projects list. So you have a place to put those, and then you get to sprinkle those in. When you have a plan in place, what naturally happens with our clients is we see, oh, we don't have a lot going on in May or June. Let's add a sprint in there. Let's do a drive in there. Let's do something in there. And that's how we can, and then you'll say, well, what kind? Let me go look at future projects list. Let me see if there's an idea there. And that's how you can really scale without that overwhelm or burnout. So I hope this reset has been a chance to kind of rebuild what you want for your year, your energy, and your revenue, and to find help and support to get the guidance to roll this out. So if you need the foundation, you need to join Sprint. If you need and are ready to scale, you need to join the club. You can reach out to me. We'll link to both, and I will see you in the next one.